Hello, Music Bear here. Um, a user on our forum had a problem with 808 sounds, and the 808, that was a famous Roland drum machine, one of the first that came, and the very first that actually could be programmed. And it was a revolution, some says, and some says was revolutionizing the music. But at least it is something that is used not so much this vintage guy here, but in various DAWs. And can we do that in Elements as well? Well, this is first I'm going to show you, show and show. You're going to listen to what we're going through today. And then you know if this is for you or if it is something you know or not interested in. So you're not going to waste your time. So let's listen to the various variations of this we're going to look at. This was the one that I was given, and that was the problem. Let's listen to that first. There's an artifact on it. That's not difficult to get away. Get away. You see, this is the second. This is just repaired. The first one repaired, the same sample. Then I take it to kicker, and it sounds like this. And another version of kicker. Then we take it to triple oscillator, and it goes like this. And another version. And then it goes crazy, also in triple oscillator. And completely crazy. So let's take a look at how we are making all these different variations of the 808, which in all simplicity actually is just a melodic tom or a melodic kick drum. And in some recent hip hop, it is also used as the bass. I'm not going to come into that, where the actual sound is very long, and there need to be a possibility to cut it off by itself. We don't have that in Elements. So it's not gonna go completely right if we try to do it like that. But let's just take a look at the very first that you heard, the one with the artifact, and it's really not in focus right now. I'll have to take it like that, I think. Then we can get it in. See, this is done by taking notes and make them slide with pitch slide this guy up. So you know we can make some instruments follow a pitch change in piano roll. Not every kind of instrument can do it. We cannot do it on instruments that is based on VST. So there's another odd thing here, and that is that they overlap. They have to be in a length that is sufficient for them to actually sound out of the sample. But it doesn't work very well if we hear it again. This first one here, there's an artifact. That was not what I wanted to run now. This is the one we want to run now. here there's like a cradle. Why? Well, that's from the actual, that's from our actual sample. If we look into a sample like this, and we can do that here in audio file processor, I can spin this in here from end and end point and start point. So we're now only looking at that, and because we have all this space here to look in, we can magnify that. So I'm just using my mouse wheel to magnify it. Okay, so we're only looking at a small part of the sample now. We can even make this smaller. And again, I can magnify that up to there. This is only 17 milliseconds. So that's apparently the limit. But these points here on this curve are not all the points. So the software has to guess points position on this curve, and it can do that in 3 different, well, it can do it like it's not doing it, because that was what none means. It's not trying to make any guesswork about points on the curve. Or it can also say, I believe that all the points are spaced completely evenly, and that is linearly. Now it's guessing that all the points are actually with the same distance to each other, so it's not going to do this calculation more than once. So that is almost with no CPU usage. But it can also do it for every point, so in a way as it is played. So now it's doing the calculation for every point, and that is called think. That takes a lot of CPU. But if we do it with think, I have to take the whole sample in here now again, and push the repeat part out there. So now the whole sample again, I hope. And just to see, this is the linear. You can hear the crackle. And then if I go into sync, listen, crackle is gone. But that costs CPU because sorry, it's calculating every point. Luckily, we can actually, instead of doing think, we can actually keep it on linearity but do other things, and that's what I'm doing in the second version of this. I'm just gonna get rid of that now. Stop it and get rid of it. So the second version of this comes here, and if I'm playing that without any calculations at all, it sounds like this. And as you can hear, there is no artifact. So how did I achieve that? Well, firstly, I make an envelope, so I can control how the envelope of the sample actually runs when it's played, and that helps. If we take the envelope off like that, just like that, every so subtle a crackle. But the other thing that I did is I put in a filter. And if we take the filter out as well, then we're back to the crackle, right? So by taking a filter in and removing these crackles because they are high pitched, then we can get this, and by adding the envelope, we can get a rather satisfactory output. It's not very loud, but we can put some more. We could put in an amplifier if that was what we wanted. But we also have to remember that when we add controllers, we also get options for more variation. And here I can start to change the sound. You'll hear how it changes. Or I could make it sharper by adding resonance. Listen. So immediately when you add controllers, do take a look at what can I do with these controllers. What is the result of doing this change? It's not just that I got rid of the artifact. I'm actually also getting some options for more. Listen. Here it's getting a sop, like it's breathing. Right, and also I have this terrible name, bass note. We should call it basal note because that's what it is, and then it wouldn't be confused with bass as such. That will also change the output. Listen. So we can manipulate in a and all this can be automated. Remember that. So do try to take a look at. I'm a little bit. I have a little cold. Sorry. Try and go through the various options and play a little also. I haven't really done this. You can. Hey, that's not too bad, is it? But we also have to be careful with two things: the artifact, the crackle, and the output. How much does we can't max out the channel, then we have problems with our instruments. I have carefully made sure that none of these demonstrations here is going to max out the channel, so that's not going to be a problem. Let's close this. You see, here we are just on the limit with this after I turned up the volume a bit. Right. Let's close this down also. That was the same sample. This sample called the kick02.org. That's the original post was about how to get that into a melodic tom, or in fact an 808 sound. And didn't show that the 808 was also used a lot in disco, and we can. That's the other way. So we have like a Donna Summer or yeah, what were they all called? Amy Newhouse was one. Several do. So that's also the 808 sound, and that's also possible with this synthesized sound. Many possibilities. Now we are going to change our generator, as they're called, and take a look at Kicker. And Kicker has this option for a pitch envelope. You can have a start pitch to the end pitch, and you can have an envelope that goes the other way from the end into the start. Here we want to have it from the start, so it's going to woo, but we can also wheel if we go the other way. We can just try that. But let's listen to how it sounds. I also added a little bit of noise. We can take that off again, so it's more like the sampled one. That's almost up in the disco class, isn't it? So that's more like the sampled one. And we could go to the disco in this way. Yay! Some pure Bee Gees. Again, a lot of possibilities. And this guy here controls the slope. That would be the speed of how these changes happens. You can listen. I'm gonna change it. So faster and faster, shorter and shorter, or indeed very long. If we want to have it more punchy, we can add click to it. Kicker is a very good generator. A very good generator. You should definitely take a deep look into Kicker, because it's brilliant. Can do a lot of very interesting things. Just to try out this, you can hear now it goes almost bell-like, and we can turn it on. You can hear how it now. Yeah, that's more normal, right? And of course we can move the point for the frequency. It got more breath as I go up. It's very subtle, not a lot to hear, but that's also a possibility. And it also has distortion, and you can put distortion on the first part or the last part. Listen. Careful with because you could get clipping here, max out the channel, and you'll have distortion on the other instruments or the master, both. So a lot of options, and well, this is just gonna change how loud it'll be. Go crazy, fast. You can see how fast it grows up. So careful about that one. So just put it back here to 0.3, and the length of the envelope disregard kicker. And you can see here I have added a compressor to it also. What that does is actually just, yeah, to compress the sound. You'll see it'll mean that the part where the attack happens, and we'll just stop that, will be even more compressed and be more punchy. The shorter the distance, you can take it from. The shorter the distance is in the sample, the more punch there will be, and you can see how it gets shorter and shorter distance as we move up to the attack point. So with very short distance, you'll get more punch, and that's what you achieve by adding. Where are we? By adding a compressor, so you get more punch on the this is not a sample. This is a synthesized sound. In the sample, we would have to do some edits in like Audacity. Here we can use this compressor. You can listen to how it is with and without compressor. And I take the compressor out and in. It's subtle. It's really subtle. Close that. And now we are going into some more sorry, more experimental version of this. Here we have not only the compressor, but we have also put in an amplifier. And this amplifier, if you take in the controls, woo, all over there, has some very interesting options, because it can work with the pitch as well as the actual drive of the sound. So we can control what part of the pitch we want to have emphasized in the output, and that can give some really interesting results. Listen. Now I'm going to take the bass off. Fantastic, isn't it? The same with the middle or spectrum. It's a very interesting way to amplify sample or sound. Always look for maxing out the channel. This is fine. So here we have a lot of options added. Remember, we can automate this. So super interesting plugin. This is more subtle. You can see it in the spectrum analyzer. You really can't hear it, but it does influence the sound. Maybe you can hear it. I can't hear it, but you can see it in the analyzer. Right. Let's stop that. But this amp 4, very interesting plugin. Then we leave. Well, this is almost half an hour already. We leave kicker and take in a triple oscillator. leave the kicker. Whoops. And triple oscillator in. When we're doing that, we're using a sine wave. And listen to how it goes. It's different. Remember, we can... Oh, sorry. Why is it? There. Again. Here we have artifacts. So the spectrum is narrow, but it does work. That's a pretty nice 808. And because we have a real instrument now, we can do much more than just that. You see, I have no effects on this one. So let's go to the effects. Let's see. Just stop that. First effect I'm gonna put in is a clip, which is also a kind of compressing, and it will cut off. It will cut off some of this, so it will be narrower and more, well, I could say precise, or it's not that broad spectra anymore. But let's listen to how it goes. Completely different, right? And that's just done with a tiny bit of clip. You can see it. This is none. So it's if I start to change this, it's going crazy. So we have to monitor this as we do it. It's going actually quite okay. Even up here, see it's just yellow. I'm not sure you could hear what it's. There's a chance of going way too high, or nothing like that. If you couldn't hear what I was saying before, it's just because it's too loud. Stop that. I have to go a little bit faster through the rest of them, and perhaps we can come back to them in another episode if it's needed, because this is now half an hour. Wow. The next thing I'm doing is I'm adding a wave shaper. You see the clip and the wave shaper, and that goes like this. Wave shaper is a serious interesting plugin. volume. We could do it here in the output. Now we're always going to yellow now actually. So not any more than that. Okay. Finally we have gone over in a different direction. Because it's an instrument, why not change the wave? Because we have used sine on all, but we could change the wave, and we could also omit one of the waves, or both. Let's listen to that. And this is where I guess we're going on to hardcore stuff in I don't know, anything like hardcore hip hop. I don't know. Listen. And that's just changing the wave, and there's different results from different shapes. You probably couldn't hear what I was saying there. It wasn't that interesting. But that's another option to play with when you're making these kind of melodic toms or indeed kick drums, bass. I don't know what we're gonna call them. Very long episode, I'm afraid, but we also got through 8 different kind of creating 808 sounds. The original Roland could do a lot more than I have shown here, but at least we got the can opened and looked into it. If you have any questions or something that you want to add to this, that would be great. Just add them in the comment, or you can always find me on our forum. Discord sometimes, at least once a day. With that, I'll just say thank you for watching, and bye bye.